Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Flip Thoughts Reactions, man. And this one, man, is gonna be a pretty deep one, man, and just a sad one, really, a sad one, definitely. Hayden Pantier, rest in paradise at 36, right? 36, 33. Hold on, 36 or 33? I just want to make sure, so I don't want to mess anything up. I think she passed away at 36 though, bro. But it was it 33 or 36? Yes. I need to look that up. Okay, so we better pull up. Could we pull up TMZ or they gonna flag us? Anyway, rest in paradise to Hayden. You know what I'm saying? And so if you guys don't know who Hayden Panettiere is, um she was in Bring It On. She was on was it Clash of the is it something the Titans? What is it? You know what? Hold on, y'all, real quick, cause you know what? We gonna give her flowers real quick. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna give her flowers real quick. If you would let us, but like I was saying, man, she was known to be in a lot of movies. Scream 7 recently. She was in something. Scream 6. Yeah, Scream 6. She was recently in. She did go on a couple different podcasts, and she did an interview after she put her book out. This Is All Me. Um, and she did describe a time where this lady took her into a room and allegedly the diddler was in the bed and he wasn't clothed. So she began with that story, right? um yeah, she began with that story. And give me 1 second, y'all. Why is it just took me out now? I got it. So yeah, basically, you know what I'm saying, she she was talking a lot, and it was real stuff that she was saying. That's why the title is She Warned Us and Then She Passed Away Unexpectedly. Rest in paradise to Hayden Panettiere. So what I'm saying basically is this, man, is you never know when these high elites are gonna tape your mouth if you don't stop talking. But she also had something too that she had said that a lot of people are trying to come across. They're coming across it. I mean, they're trying to break it down and figure out what it means. Is she said that she had a stalker that was stalking her for like 10, 12 years, and she had a dream about the stalker, unaliving her, and so her proxy, her diagnosis when she was passed away was OD, right? Because supposedly, she was going through depression, postpartum depression as well, and it was just a lot going on. So it's kind of like, I feel like really kind of easy to throw that on her, like, oh yeah, she was just drinking and she was also popping pills, so she OD'd. It was too much, but I really think there's more to it, and I really think, yes, even I think she did have you know issue dealing with depression. I mean, everybody had, I feel like everybody has a little bit of depression, but she also had postpartum depression, which is a lot more serious, you know, especially with the mothers. I mean, fathers could get it too after having with the kid, but you know, it's more for the mothers, and you know how it goes with that, man. Like, you know, it could be years that the person could be affected by it. Um, so you never know, and so I just, you know, it's just really sad, man. Rest in paradise to Hayden Panettiere. Like I just feel like, you know, she was, you know, unraveling, or not, that's not the right word. Um, Unveiling, you know, some pretty serious things, you know. That's what I meant to say, unveiling. But we're gonna get right into this clip. This interview right here is gives me the heebie jeebies, man. I'm over here like really with goosebumps, gang. This is May 18th of this year, and listen to what she says in this interview right here, y'all. I'm gonna mute my mic.
Because I think you unpack a lot in this book, and I would think a lot of it would be difficult to talk about. So how are you feeling as you sit here today getting ready to launch your book tour?
Honestly, I'm always nervous, but this time I'm the rawest version of myself that I've ever been. I'm not walking out, you know, promoting a project or a character that I played or able to hide behind anything. So I feel always a little bit overwhelmed by the subject matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't get easier.
I know, Hayden, let's take a deep breath, because you write about the book Life Quakes, which I like that phrase, by the way. You said it's not about losses. When it's tumultuous times in your life, and you've had some, you call them life quakes.
Life quakes, yeah.
And you get through it how?
You get through it by time, finding good therapists, being willing to reflect, check in with yourself.
Yeah.
You know, really do the work.
But let's talk about your life. You're born, your mom jokes that you came out of the womb saying, thanks, I got it from here.
Yeah.
Which is sort of a telltale about you were feisty from the very beginning.
Yeah.
You say by the time you were 5, you had done 50 commercials. Your mom, from what I read, also was an actress and seemed to take a lot of joy and pride out of what you did too. But it also created conflicts between the two of you. It's complicated, the relationship with your mom.
When your mother is chosen to take the 8-month-old baby to the audition rooms, into those audition rooms, and it went from there and progressed into 50 commercials by the time I was 5. I was on a soap opera by 4 years old, and it never stopped, and it was every moment on set. I didn't care about anybody else's opinion but my mom's, because I knew that if she was unhappy with my performance in any way, that the rest of the day was going to be ruined.
Yes.
It was going to be a very bad day.
And your mom was tough. You had a lot of, this is what got me, your praise for your over-the-top performances, which you think is a good thing. But what happened when you get the praise for being over the top in your performances?
Yeah, that's something that I realized, that just I had been crying. Once people figured out that I could cry on cue the way that I did, it was in everything, literally every scene. And it went from being a kid and having to imagine just that your pet passed away or something. But then as I got older, the imagery became darker and darker and darker, and the emotion that I had to hold within me in order to get those trigger tears going, and it became harder and harder to jump out of it. I didn't know where my character started and where I ended, you know,
and where it began.
Just enmeshed.
But what was interesting to me, Hayden, you said you began to associate those overtop performances
with praise.
Catastrophe with adoration.
Yeah.
That had to be confusing as a young child.
Very confusing. Very confusing. I mean, there I was, you know, feeling just this deep sadness. And then the people were so happy afterwards. And you do that over such a long period of time, years after years, that of course it's going to take its toll on you emotionally. You know, I was like, this isn't healthy.
Yes.
There's no way that this is not taken like and it was I had to find the right therapist in order to make the proper connections and realize to realize and to try to heal.
But the turning point for you is when you got the role in Heroes. I mean, you became a household name almost immediately.
Pretty much overnight.
Yeah. Talk about what that process was like and how your life changed in that moment.
Oh my gosh. Well,
and the spotlight that was on you.
I remember I was 16 years old when I had always thought about like what my first paparazzi picture would look like. And I walked out of my apartment. It was the first time, and it was like literally looking down the barrel of a gun.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling terrified and overwhelmed. And back in the 2000s, there were no boundaries at all.
Yes.
It was rough and tough, and it like no holds barred. And
the way they spoke to
you, the way they hunted literally like prey.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, so you become famous, and during this time you meet Vladimir, who's the father of your child, who didn't realize how famous you were at first.
No, he had no idea.
So then the two of you get together and you have a baby.
Yes.
At a time for many people, it's just a joyous occasion. But for you, what happened?
For me, I had a wonderful pregnancy. Yes. I worked throughout my whole pregnancy. And I had a really rough birth. To the point where I almost didn't make it through.
Yes.
And then the postpartum depression started. And there I am with this beautiful, healthy, beautiful baby girl and this very fortunate life. And I could not for the life of me be happy. I was so depressed and I just couldn't find my way out.
You wanted to be happy too. That's the thing. You were
desperately
looking forward to having the baby.
It doesn't. Yeah.
And you write in the book, you are not the mother you thought you'd be, nor the mother you want to be.
I had all these ideas in my head of what I wanted to do as a mom, as a parent. And I think I was also, though, at the same time scared because of what my mom did to me, that I might
about being
do that too.
And now
to my child.
Kaya lives with her dad in the Ukraine, and you're here. And how do you describe the relationship with your daughter today?
I'm so blessed to have a great relationship with her. I fly over there as much as I can. I'm on FaceTime with her all the time. She's now 11 years old and she's calling mommy more and more. She actually called me, FaceTimed me the other day, and she calls me Brittany. She goes, "Hi. Hey, Brittany." And I was like, it took me a second, and I realized she was talking about Bring It On. Because her friends are fans of Bring It On.
Oh, got it.
Oh my gosh, she's now telling me, asking me to Zoom with her friends. Well, so I'm cool now.
Well, I think it's good that you're cool because you've certainly been through it with all the things that you've had in your life. What do you want people to take away from this book? Why did you decide to write it?
I decided to write it because there was so much stigma. At first I said no. I had spent so many years trying to hide as much of my life as I could that it was just a habit. But I really wanted to share with the world that they don't have to be afraid, that they can live their truth, that they can be imperfect, that they can, that's being perfectly imperfect is being brave, and it's okay. And there was so much stigma around the postpartum depression and the backlash. The support was there from people who had experienced it and needed to hear it. But there was so much backlash as well that it shocked me. So I wanted to do more of that and tell more stories.
And how are you today? Because I would imagine it's still based on what I read, I would imagine you're still going through stuff, still processing.
Always.
How are you today?
Always. Still working on myself all the time. I've got a great therapist, and I'm better, healthier than I've been in a long time.
And I'm.
What's up? What it do? Drill Time TV checking in once again. Poetic Flacco them.
All right, y'all. So now that I don't know why that Flacco video just popped up. I think it's because it was on my tab already. But man, that right there, bro, that was chilling to me, man. She was just getting a better relationship with her daughter. Daughter was 11, gang. Her daughter literally FaceTime her. I was like, "What's up, Brittany?" You know, if you watch Bring It On, you know who Brittany is. That's her character in Bring It On. You feel me? We gonna get to this. We gonna get to this meeting with the diddler that she recalls. Now, Prophet Muscle is not in no way nobody that I condone like that with this picture, bro. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to his channel, but I do not agree with him putting this thumbnail out. Rest in paradise to Hayden. It's no disrespect.
She physically put me in the bed next to this undressed man who was very famous. I was 18, even though I'd lived such a huge life and I thought I was oh so mature at 18. You know, scientifically, you know, her frontal lobes don't develop until we're 20, 26, 25, 26. So even though I felt like I could make healthy decisions, safe decisions, I wasn't capable of being fully aware of what was going on around me. And it wasn't until I found myself in predicaments that I realized like my perspective completely shifted, and I realized that I was in danger. But by the time I'd realized I was in danger, I was quite literally out to sea. And it was that moment shook me. It was shocking. And I was quite literally walked down, and I had been having a great time. There was no hints of anything like that happening. So it took me, I was shocked. It took me by surprise. And it was led by somebody that I had grown to trust and see as a protector and somebody who had my back, and to be walked down the stairs, and it was as like a surprise, presented as though it was like a surprise. And it was this very small room, and she physically put me in the bed next to this undressed man who was very famous, and had his hands like this, like this was just, an average day for him. This is something that happens all the time. And I waited for her to leave, and I mean that lion in me, that fire in me, that my hair stood on end, and I became ferocious. I was like, this is not happening. But I had nowhere to hide, and I bolted, and I hid wherever I could think of to hide on a boat. There was no jumping off and swimming away, and there was nobody who was going to. I realized that there was nobody who was going to be empathetic to my situation, that this was nothing new to them.
I mean, that sounds such a horrifying event to go through, and to be put in that position at 18 years old.
And disappointing when somebody lets you down like that. And I'd been let down so much before, and that when you really find somebody that you trust, like, you hold on to them for dear life.
Here is Prophet Hayden, may you rest in Lord. And to these old dirty snakes in Hollywood, I'm tired of y'all taking advantage of these young women. That's why you messed up, Hayden. The Bible says flee from sexual immorality. If you're friend of the world, you
All right, yo, like I said, I do not condone that picture. Get it off my screen, yo. Shout out to Prophet Muscle, but follow Jay Shetty podcast right here, man. I'm saying, I'm clicking on it. I'm not gonna click on it. Well, that's a 2-hour. You know what? Like, bro, I just don't understand people on how they think this is okay. This cloud stuff. We're gonna watch this other clip, but Prophet Muscle, man, come on, bro.
I collapsed when he first died, I just remember screaming, I don't want to live in a world where he doesn't exist. So I've unfortunately had to. But he seems so alive in my head still. He was such a big personality. He just, like, no matter what, like, he was just one of those people I never thought that anything could take him down or take him away. He was so good, too, and it makes you so angry to see that there are bad people thriving in this world, and then one so good that's just taken from you. Why? It's not fair. It doesn't make sense. So that's something I don't think I'll never get over it. It'll just evolve. Wish they would send him back to me.
I'm so sorry for your loss. Look how you had a stalker, and through the isolation, through the, and I'm just like,
it just keeps getting better.
How does that feel to be going through grief, to be isolated, and then be dealing with that on top of everything that you've gone through, that you've shared today?
They have that saying, when it rains, it pours. I feel that all the time. We go through periods of times where things are great, and then everything will go wrong all at once. And I don't know if it's Mercury in retrograde or the something in the air. Like, what is going on to make all of these things happen all at once? But the experience with him is the man who stalked me was terrifying. And this man was not just a stalker who was a big fan. Like, he was genuinely mentally unwell, and leaving message after message about how he was going to bring his katana sword and decapitate, and he was. I had to actually cancel speaking engagements that I had because he was flying and he was waiting for me there. Now, I've had stalkers before in the past who are all talk, right? And no action. And you go, after a while, you go, okay, they're not really going to do. This is somebody who's just has the time to sit here and do this. But then there are those that you realize are incredibly dangerous. They mean what they say, and the FBI and Secret Service had to get involved. And I thank them both, all of them, from the bottom of my heart for getting him and for putting him away. He did just recently get out, so
wow.
That's
terrible.
I'm feeling, all these different emotions going on while having I like the way you say it, excavated my life and written this book and put it all out there, very emotional topics. Then to deal with something like this on top of it, and knowing that he just got out of jail recently, is scary. The whole experience was just to deal with somebody that's that unhinged is terrifying. It's because it goes back to that you can't reason with the unreasonable, and you have no idea what they're capable of when you don't know what somebody is capable of. I mean, we've all seen people do things that we would never imagine. doing. And to feel like you're sitting in limbo and you have no idea if they're going to show the stories that we've heard in the past of people showing up and just boom, you're done. You're gone. To deal with somebody like that, that is one of the most terrifying feelings in the world.
Can't even begin to imagine. I'm happy that you're.
It was the icing. The icing on the cake. It was very, very thick.
I'm happy that you're protected and that you're taking the right precautions and measures, because you're absolutely right. And just glad that you have the right people around you to see you through this.
Yeah.
I've been, there's only one last thing I wanted to say to you, and you were telling me just about this next chapter of your life.
See where my life is going to go, because I finally feel like I have shaken off all of this darkness and this negativity, and that means I've closed one door and another door is opened, and I can feel it open, and I can feel all the possibility, the possibilities, all the exciting possibilities. I feel like I have a lot more life to live.
Absolutely.
I was, feeling just this deep sadness. And then the people were so happy afterwards. And you do that over such a long period of time, years after years, that of course it's going to take its toll on you emotionally. I was like, this isn't healthy. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to end up screwing up my child like my mom messed me up. So that was a fear.
How old is your baby now?
But we have an amazing relationship now. She's 11 years old.
Oh,
she
good,
actually.
Here is Prophet Hayden. May you rest in Lord, as the Bible says, and God protect your child while you're gone. Hollywood will give you fame and money, but it will cost you soul, and in Hayden's case, her life. Hayden, your mother used you to get rich. But the Bible says, what does it profit a man gaining the whole world but losing his soul? Me, Prophet, I choose God over the world.
Welcome to TMZ Live. Really sad, tragic news. Hayden Panettiere, you may have heard this already, 36 years old, died yesterday. And it appears that this may well have been a drug overdose.
Yeah, that there was certainly some drug use going on in the Greenville, South Carolina apartment where she was found. The call to 911, it was initially for a woman suffering with cardiac arrest. But once officials got there,
and even on the dispatch call, they said it may have been an overdose.
Yes, first responders said that may have been an overdose. That they'd started CPR efforts, but they were not able to revive her. But there's something interesting about the response to this, though, because there were 2 ambulances sent there.
2 ambulances. And ultimately a coroner's van. Now, the 2 ambulances are interesting because they wheeled stretchers in from each ambulance. But when they came out, there was nobody on that either of those stretchers. The ambulances left, the coroner's van came. But because there were 2 ambulances, it would seem that there were 2 people in distress.
Right. And as for who that second person is, we don't know at this point, but we do know that that Hayden had traveled to South Carolina with her on-again, off-again boyfriend, Brian Hickerson, on Saturday.
So they had just gotten to South Carolina, and somebody walked in. It may well have been Brian's brother, walked in and then saw the scene, and somebody called 911.
And our understanding is that Brian and his brother were both staying at this apartment, which would make sense as to why Hayden was there, knowing that she had arrived in South Carolina just the day before. Another really interesting thing that we've learned is Narcan was on the scene, which is used to
All right, so this is what it seems like to me, bro. Because I'm not buying none of this load of. I ain't buying it, gang. I ain't buying it. So what they're trying to say is there's Narcan on the scene. So what they trying to say that there was some fentanyl involved with what was going on, some type of pill that had fentanyl in it. Let's see what TMZ gonna say.
Reverse the effects of a potential
Opioid
opioid
overdose,
overdose. Now, exactly who that might have been used on, it's kind of unclear, but we do know that obviously when paramedics arrived at the scene, they were doing everything they could to
resuscitate.
resuscitate her, which of course was unsuccessful.
So we don't know who the second person is. I mean, you can kind of connect the dots. We've been trying to reach Brian, have been unable to. Police are saying there's no evidence of foul play.
There was no signs of trauma on her body. So it doesn't seem like something in that regard happened. But of course, we're trying to get to the bottom of it. And Hayden had been really open about a lot of her struggles over the years, talking in her book, which came out this year, her memoir, talking about how she did have an addiction and an unhealthy relationship with opioids. She complained about back pain somewhat recently. We had some photos of her where she was using oh my gosh, what are those called? Using crutches because of her back. And when I spoke to Brian just about 3 months ago in regards to her memoir and her reflecting very negatively on their relationship, I mean, which is understandable because their relationship was extremely toxic.
Abuse, and he went to jail.
He was arrested for domestic violence, and he kind of spoke on where their relationship stood at that time, which again was just 3 months ago. And he said,
I think we have a clip of this.
There you
go. Hayden Panettiere is the sweetest thing in the world. It's not about who you spend Saturday night with. It's who you spend all day Sunday with. And Hayden Panettiere is the Sunday girl.
Do you think it's better for her to not be with you?
I think that Hayden is one of the most talented people I've ever met in my life. And I would be an idiot not to walk away from her and let her flourish in her career. So we probably wouldn't be good together.
And the fact that he said that, but they look,
and yet they were together.
They were together, and he said she's a Sunday girl. She died on Sunday.
Right.
So look, she has had real struggles with substance abuse. She's been to rehab, and she had a child with Vladimir Klitschko, the boxer, and he is now in Ukraine, which is his home country, and they had a pretty bitter custody fight, and she ended up walking away and giving up the child, because
she said in the book that she felt like that was the best decision for the child's life.
But she also spoke negatively in the book, saying that she felt like she was really cornered by Vlad because when she went to Ukraine, she claimed that he put her in a situation where he had a bunch of people around him and almost in a way scared her into signing the rights away for Kaya, who is now 11 years old.
On the other side of it is she had a chaotic life.
Yeah.
And she had a chaotic life with her parents. I think her parents had their own issues.
I mean,
Leslie, her mother, spoke recently saying they had no relationship.
The thing you have to remember about Hayden, she's been acting since before she could walk.
Right.
Yeah.
So she is, when you talk about celebrities who
it's surprising that
child
she's 30,
stars.
It's surprising she was only 36.
Right. And you talk about child stars and all the troubles that they go through and the struggles. I mean,
it's weird timing too, because she's just doing this entire book tour for her memoir, and recently was like, I have so much more life to live, talking about, all the opportunities she's excited to get back into.
I finally feel like I have shaken off all of this darkness and this negativity, and that means that I've closed one door and another door is opened, and I can feel it opened, and I can feel all the possibility all the possibilities, all the exciting possibilities. I feel like I have a lot more life to live.
Listen, if it's true, and I mean, it's kind of pointing to
That there was
addiction.
some, yeah.
The fact that there
That
was
there was drug
Narcan
use
there,
going
that
on,
there was a phone call about a drug overdose.
It doesn't seem on purpose.
And there was apparently a second person involved in this.
Right.
At least you would think that it's got the markers of it, and it's one of. Welcome to TMZ Live. The mother of Hayden Panettiere has spoken out for the first time since Hayden's death, and she is directing considerable anger at Hayden's boyfriend, Brian Hickerson.
Yeah, Leslie Vogel basically said that at the very least, she's saying Brian was a bad influence on Hayden. And she says that it's been that way for years. In her words, she said, this person in her life that we have been trying to get rid of for quite some time was with her at her death. And that was Brian Hickerson. She also went on to say
she didn't close the loop on that, but there's certainly an intimation there.
Right. And well, I mean, the fact she's saying they wanted him out of her life for years clearly means that and by the way, Brian himself told us that they were better off not being together.
Well, if you remember, in 2019, he was actually charged with beating Hayden and ended up serving 5 years probation. And there was a restraining order that Hayden got against him. So it was one of these toxic, codependent relationships where it never ended.
Now, one other thing that Leslie said, she told NBC News, this is about Hayden's career and her challenges. She said, I think Hayden was an amazingly talented person in so many departments. It is a struggle and it's a very challenging industry. And it's not unusual for them to sadly find the wrong path.
I'm not sure that this is the correct messenger. And the reason why I say that is because Leslie and her daughter Hayden were estranged for many, many years.
Right.
They had major problems. Of course, Leslie was Hayden's manager throughout the time that she became a massive superstar, but they did have a huge falling out. And I know you guys mentioned that interview that I did with Brian Hickerson 3 months ago. I asked him about Leslie during that interview, and he did not have kind things to say about her either.
Which you would expect because he's with Hayden. And
Leslie and her then husband, we covered some of the craziness in that family.
Yeah, I believe the dad was arrested. He got in trouble for some sort of fight with the mom.
Right.
Like, they had a ton of drama.
It was Lohan-esque.
It was very Lohan-esque.
It was,
Yes.
yeah.
Also, in this interview, Leslie said that the story that we broke yesterday, she confirmed that Hayden and Brian were together. She said the whole time they were together, that everyone secretly.
That they've been, even though publicly we've been saying on and off, what was really going on is they were together the whole time, but people
her team
in
was
the industry told her,
yes,
this is not a good look for you to be with this person who's been
abusive,
convicted of using it.
They were in rehab together, and it did not stop after that. I mean, there was still substance abuse. There were all sorts of issues. So when she says he's with the wrong person, Hayden had her struggles with substance abuse all of her adult life. And I think when she says that,
to put it all on Brian feels
harsh.
Yeah,
it feels harsh.
Yeah.
But we do know that Brian was there. I mean, we know he was there, and his brother was there when the paramedics arrived.
I think it's safe to say that Brian was probably one of the last people to see Hayden alive. We know in the incident report by the Greenville Police Department, it does say that when the responding officers were there, they spoke to first both Brian's brother, Zach, and they said that Zach was extremely emotional when they were
watching them try to
he was watching them trying to resuscitate Hayden. And they said that Brian was not emotional. However, when they did declare that Hayden passed away on the scene, he then became overwhelmed with grief. They also note that Brian gave police a bag of medications that Hayden had been taking during the time of her death.
So the intimation there is that she may have overdosed on this medication. We don't know. They're doing toxicology reports. They usually take a month or more. to see what was in Hayden's system, and that's going to be extremely revealing whether it is medication or something else. What's interesting is that Brian's brother Zach rather, apparently had come into the unit and found Hayden. And what we're hearing is that Brian may have been asleep. And because if Brian were awake, he would have been the one to call, to immediately call 911. It seems like it was the brother who called. We don't know for sure.
But that's what we're hearing.
But if he was asleep and the brother walks in, this toxicology report's going to be really revealing.
Well, Harvey, our chat is kind of hitting the consensus that it seems like despite who was there or not, that bad company sometimes leads to bad outcomes. And Hayden was so at risk that her being around him, period, was bad for her.
See,
I think
I get why they're saying that and why her mom would say that. But also, when you know that they were together all this time, where we thought they were apart sometimes, if they were together all this time, she had good moments, right? So there were times where she was doing better.
I got to say, I disagree with you. I think what happened in 2019, where she said she was so badly beaten that she couldn't leave the house for weeks, that becomes a deal breaker. I mean, we don't know what happened.
They did break up during that time, just to be clear.
Right, but I'm
so
saying
they have
once
had a
that
couple
happens,
breakups.
once that happens.
Oh, I'm not advocating that they should have been together.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, and just like you said, to lay whatever happened to her, to lay that just at Brian's feet, just seems.
But we don't know that it was happy times after, is what I'm saying.
No.
Well, our chat has one more interesting question about this, asking what constitutes an autopsy if no foul play was to be found?
No, they're going to do a toxicology to find out cause of death.
The autopsy is complete as of yesterday.
Yeah, the toxicology is what they always do in a situation like this, and it will reveal what was in her system at the time of death, and that is probably going to align with cause of death.
Hannah, Ohio. I personally think that anytime someone passes away in the presence of someone who has been historically violent with them, you have to ask questions about it.
All right, that's real, y'all. That's real. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, rest in paradise to Hayden Panettiere. If that is true, what they're saying, basically because of her and Brian Hickerson, toxic relationship, he's the last person to be with her before she passes away. His brother's the one that calls 911, says that she's unresponsive. He's the one that maybe grabs the Narcan. I don't know. Now, he also gives the police a bag of her medication. What was her medication? We don't know. They like Harvey said, they about to do a toxicology report. It takes about a month to see exactly what was in her system, man. But that's what I'm gonna say, bro. She was saying a lot of good stuff. She was letting it be known. Like I said, she was unveiling a different side, and I think maybe some high elites might have. I'm not trying to say too much, but hey, she did mention the diddler. She did mention other things. This stalker is somebody that just got out when she said that in May. I mean, I don't know, man. Anything could have happened. All I know is just it's very sad. And I think the mom coming out basically blaming it on the boyfriend's crazy because it didn't seem like her and her mom were cool at all. So I don't think that's anybody to really get information from at this time because she wasn't even really, you feel me, on talking terms with her. But what y'all think, man? I know this is a little long one, but we had to do the whole breakdown, man. Rest in paradise to Hayden Panettiere. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, she warned us. She was warning us about a lot in that book. Make sure y'all grab that book. Check out that book, man. I'm about to go check out that book, man. See what else I could figure out because I'm really trying to break this down because it's crazy. She was so talented. If you know a lot of the movies, like her being so young, doing a movie with Denzel is just legendary. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? She just everybody liked Hayden, man, and I feel like it's just sad. So, but yeah, man, we gonna get into the next one. Appreciate everybody tuning in on Kick and Twitch. It's gonna be on YouTube in a little bit. Hype, like, share, hit that notification bell so I know y'all there, so I can throw a T when it's in the air, man. We going to the next one. Peace, lay y'all.
I think we got one. Nigga, it's the motherfucking flame, nigga. Strictly power business. For the homies, RP the thugs. I'm in the field politic, I'm with the room members. You can't say RIP.